Imagine sitting in your kitchen right now, when suddenly, a version of yourself from 80 years in the future appears, shattering a mug on the floor in a fit of rage, and starts screaming at you about how you are spending your Tuesday. That version of you has a perspective you can't see yet. They know exactly which of your current worries are a waste of time, and which ones will eventually grow into a lifelong burden. We don't have to wait for a time traveler to tell us this. For years, researchers and caregivers have been sitting at the bedsides of people in their final days, documenting the patterns of what a human being actually regrets when the clock runs out. The data shows a strange gap. When people look back from the very end, they almost never mention their actual mistakes. They don't talk about the time they tripped on stage, the awkward first date, or the business that went bankrupt. If we want to be happy now, we have to stop fearing the mistakes the brain eventually forgets and start listening to the warnings that the dying can't stop repeating. Think about the things you actually did that you now find embarrassing, the risky email you shouldn't have sent, or the time you spoke when you should have listened. These are regrets of action. In the moment, these feel terrible. They cause a sharp, immediate sting of shame that makes you want to crawl into a hole. But the human brain has a natural way of protecting itself. Shortly after we mess up, our internal psychology begins to function like a built-in eraser. We start to rationalize. We tell ourselves we learned a valuable lesson, or that the failure made us stronger. Eventually, the mind reshapes the memory until the sharp edges are gone and the pain disappears. Because our minds are so good at healing the damage of bad decisions, the things we actually do rarely stay painful for long. The real danger lies in the things we skip, the conversations we didn't have, the trips we didn't take, and the risks we backed out of because we were afraid of looking stupid. This chart shows the difference. When an action goes wrong, a sharp spike of pain eventually fades. But when we do nothing, the brain's eraser has no target. It can't rationalize an event that never happened. These what-ifs compound, becoming more painful than the mistake. Choosing the safe path of doing nothing feels comfortable in the short term, but the data suggests it is actually the most hazardous thing you can do to your future self. This happens because we all live with two different versions of who we are. There's the person we think we should be, the one who follows the rules and meets their obligations, and the person we dream of being. When we fail to meet our obligations, we feel a temporary burst of guilt. It's uncomfortable, but it usually passes within a few weeks. But when we fail the person we dreamt of being, when we ignore our own aspirations, that disappointment doesn't go away. It sits in the background and quietly rots. When palliative nurse Bronnie Ware talked to thousands of people on their deathbeds, she found that the most common regret was simply not having the courage to be that person they dreamt of being. They had spent their lives meeting everyone else's expectations instead. Those long-term regrets are the sound of the brain mourning the person you could have become if you hadn't stayed so quiet. If you are feeling that weight right now, it's actually a useful signal. It's your brain highlighting exactly what you still care about. The first step is to stop avoiding the feeling and name the specific ghost that haunts you. What is the one thing you keep telling yourself you should have done 3 years ago? Now look at why that specific memory hurts. If you regret a missed conversation, it reveals a hunger for connection. If you regret staying in a boring job, it reveals a hunger for challenge. The pain of the regret is directly linked to the part of yourself you've been starving. A lingering regret is a message from that person you dreamt of being, telling you exactly where you need to change your trajectory. Once you know what that hunger is, do one small thing today that feeds it. Send the email, sign up for the class, or tell someone the truth. Remember that your brain is already equipped to handle the outcome. If you try and you fail, the mind will eventually erase the sting and find a way to make sense of it. But if you walk away now because you're afraid, you are choosing a path where the weight of that silence only gets heavier every year you stay on it. Stop worrying about the mistakes your brain is going to delete anyway. Close this video and go take the risk.